Hi.
We are back.
Hi, lady.
Hi.
Hi. Cheers. Got your little tea?
I do.
We're back for another episode of Sip and Share. Today, what are we going to chat about today, Mira?
We are talking about promo today, which is definitely one of our favourite topics.
We are a little bit excited about
Yeah.
it. Yeah. I think you're better at it than I am, or at least the social media side of things.
However, what we are really honing in on is a lesson that I got from you.
Yeah.
Because yes, I am very proactive in promoting my business.
Yes.
However, I can quickly get burnt out really easily, and one of the biggest takeaways that I had from you in the first 6 months of us knowing each other was how I was missing a fundamental, important part of my promotional strategy, which was
the strategy.
There wasn't really a strategy, although there was a bit of an unconscious one, but
Yeah.
I there was so much more. I could be so much more strategic with it in order to get more time back, to earn more money from it, from all the time I was investing into it.
Yeah.
And ultimately that helped with energy as well, because
Definitely.
whilst it brings me energy, and this is not for everybody, but there was a point at which I was losing, I was losing the vibe for it. And I know lots of people get into that space.
Oh, totally. I mean, that feeling of, and it's not just social media, but just that feeling of, that drainy feeling of, oh God, I've got to show up.
Yeah.
Like it's something, right? To even just to get the makeup on and, the hair to sit here now.
Yeah.
It's something. It takes effort and energy.
Yeah.
So you don't, and the other thing is, so you want to kind of do it right from the start. And if you're bothering to show up, you want it to do something. You want it to move the needle for your clients, to get them from not knowing you at all to having some level of engagement with you, to then potentially becoming an actual client with you and to be hanging around a bit longer,
right.
Like that.
So pause there.
Right.
Because that is strategy, right?
Yeah.
That is a strategy that I did not know about.
Yeah.
Right?
So what were you doing it from? What were you doing?
What was I doing?
Did you just love mostly just talking and hope, sort of feeling like there was someone on the other side?
Yeah, there was my social media, before I had a business, I was on social media sharing value. So I had something that I felt I could share that I thought was going to help someone. And that really is, my strategy is to respond and thinking that this is going to add value. So that was part of it. And so that is a bit of a strategy. And then the other part was I was just promoting my circles and promoting my events. And I kind of was doing that based on what I heard and saw other people doing. So the piece that I was missing was that there is this customer journey that people go on with us, and that there's certain touch points that people need to have in order to be ready to buy. And so you've sort of mapped that out, which is that I learned and I heard about know, like, and trust. So I knew about that, but I didn't know that there was a really simple strategy behind it. Yeah. And that you could actually turn that strategy into buckets, or really clear types of content. Yeah. That then meant anytime I went to promote or think I need to do some social media, I wasn't sitting there going, oh, God, what do I say now? Or how do I do this? Or, And
I think we can get really trapped in also the, what I see a lot of in the people in our group is just that straight, that like you say, promoting the circles, right? Yeah. So that's a thing that you want people to spend money on. Yeah. And for a consumer, just reflect on this for yourselves, right? How often do you just go, unless you've already got a need for something, and for many of us, we're actually educating people about something before they realise that they need it. Yeah. Because we're not supermarkets mostly. We're not, petrol stations. Yeah. They're need-based sales, right? Yeah. And they're also commodities, as in people price shop on that stuff. So for most of our businesses in this space, they're in the kind of want/desire space. Yeah. which means that we've got to sort of help people unearth that they've even got a want or a desire, and that this thing might fix that problem for them. So, but the thing I see a lot in social media, and people waste a lot of time and a lot of money on just going straight for the jugular.
Yeah.
Buy my thing.
Buy my thing.
Buy my thing.
Yeah.
Here's my thing again. Here's my yoga space.
Yeah.
Here it is.
Yeah.
It's $27 a session, whatever. You know,
Yeah.
like, I don't care.
And
because
look,
if you tell me only that, all I'm going to do is price shop.
Yeah.
And that's mostly not what these businesses are here to do. We're not commodities. We don't compete on price. We can't compete on price.
No, you can't.
You know?
And, you know, I've been saying this in the group for a while, you know, when prior to the changeover to OWN was, you know, there are other ways to promote your business in here other than just putting the latest thing that you're selling. And that, you know, really evaluate what are the steps that you go through before you actually hand over your money for something.
Totally. Yeah.
And the reality is there's certain things that you need to see, hear, be educated on a number of times before someone purchases.
There's so much assumed knowledge too. Like, when you've started your business, you know, and this is the thing, right? Like, often what we're doing at 2 to 3 years into business, which I think there's a lot of people in this space that are in that phase. And you're like, why isn't this promotional thing working? Most of the time, you're probably not that far off the mark. Like, you might only be 1 or 2 degrees outside of being off the mark, right? And this is what they call the butterfly effect. If you are kind of, you know, if you're aiming here to get someone to buy your thing, but you've been 1 degree off the mark with your messaging, or, you know, and that means like buy my thing rather than help me understand why I need your thing, for example, then all of a sudden, you know, you're trying to go down there, but all of a sudden you're just kind of doing that. Then by the time you get to the end, you're in a totally different destination, you know? Yeah. So this you know, not all is lost is what I'm trying to say. Yeah. You're probably on the right track with your promotional strategies in some way, shape or form. Yeah. You're probably doing, like, you know, out of 100% of the things you could be doing, you might be doing 30 or 40% of things really, really well. But because you don't have the other 60% in place, it's not working, you know? Yeah. And you experience that as failure, as, you know, that my business isn't worth it. And then you find that yourself having to justify it to your friends and family why you spend so much time on this business that's not working or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think, you know, we've seen that at the retreat, right? Yeah. So, you know, what surprises quite a few people is that the majority of people that have come on the High Vibes Content Creation Retreat have social media already. Yeah. Like, established social media. Yeah. But what they got and what they saw was how that refinement. Yes. And how having a really simple strategy behind it can completely shift how effective their social media you know, was in terms of bringing more business in. Yeah. And also the benefit of saving the amount of time wasted on trying to continue to come up with more social media ideas and concepts, or what's the latest trend I should try following and seeing if that works.
Yeah, that's right. We can so end up, that's what I mean. I mean, that comes back to that too, right? Getting trapped in the trend machine kind of, you know, like, great, so a TikTok video where your dance worked for 5 seconds, but now it doesn't, so now what? Like, this is that lack of strategy. Like, if those things don't fit into your strategy for social media, then you are 100% wasting time, money and energy.
Correct.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
All right, so the main thing we want you to take away here is that
social media can have a strategy, I think.
Social media can have a strategy.
In fact, all your promotion can. It isn't just for social media. We have sort of focused on your online stuff here today. Yeah. But for sure, you know, and I think people tend to give it a bit more strategy when they do things like print, because you're investing money up front. So you actually start to think about, like, that, you know, social media feels free. Yeah. But it's not. No. Because it's your time going into it, you know? And when you think about what you could be doing with that 10 hours a week, where you could, you know, that's opportunity cost. It might be spending time with your family, but it could well be getting on the phone and just picking up the phone and making money, right? Like, that 10 hours that you're dicking around with that, doing it without a strategy, could actually be costing you 10, 20 grand a week. You don't know. Like,
yeah, absolutely. So what I might want to say on that is, is, you know, another sort of strategy change that I was making or was able to make late last year, and this came from another marketer, not Kath, but she got me to really think about and reflect on where was the majority of my business coming from. And on that basis, the strategy was becoming locally known, because when I evaluated the majority of my business, the part of the business that I was, wanting to grow was the coaching. Circles were happening, that was already ticking away, but it was coaching my one-on-one clients that I was, focused on growing. She got me to think about where were those people, where were my existing clients coming from? And the reality was that they were coming from local. So social media was a broader kind of catchment, right? We're kind of throwing it out into the online land and trying to bring people in, and it's still got a place. It didn't go away.
Yeah.
But just that simple reframe of focusing local helped me, again, direct my time and my strategy around promotion to local.
Yeah, exactly.
And how could I focus on making myself locally known for what I do?
Yeah, totally.
So again, it was a strategy and not necessarily meaning all online.
Yeah, exactly.
Did you feel that helps kind of better?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think so. I mean, I've got a lot to say about that because it might not necessarily be matched where your clients are currently coming on, might not be matched to where the vision of where you want to take your business to go.
Yeah.
So I don't always like the idea of just looking at what is happening because a lot of the time that can be from a reactive, unstrategic choice in the first place. In your case, it wasn't. It just happened to not be.
Yeah.
But I just want to make that clarification.
Yeah,
is that
sure.
a lot of the time. Yeah. So for me, I mean, I'm just all about strategy. That's what my brain automatically does. Is like, where are people coming from? Where am I trying to get them to? And therefore, what's the gap in between that I need to fill for them? You know. And your social media, your promotion, online, offline, whatever, all needs to sort of even at least be looked at through that lens, because I think a lot of the time, I mean, it's just so simple, but people just miss it completely. Yeah. So that would be my takeaway for today.
Yeah, that's a good way to recap, which is where you started. So thinking the strategy, I guess, that is underpinning what we're talking about is seeing where they are now and where you want to get them to, and what is the information that they need to have to walk along that path to go from, hey, I'm seeing Mira over here, to, hey, I want to work with Mira.
Totally.
Or I want to get that product.
Yep.
I want to buy that service. I want to come and get the veggie box from Sarah.
Was it Hansel and Gretel with the breadcrumbs?
Yeah. Oh, breadcrumbs, sugar.
Breadcrumbs. The house was made out of. And so what breadcrumbs are we mapping to get to the candy house? That's what we sort of need to think about.
That's the strategy that you get to work on, unpack. And you just happen to have a really simple way of doing that with the High Vibes Content Creation Retreat, which is in that. But that's the takeaway, is recognizing that if you're feeling like your promotion isn't working right now, it's likely that there is a strategy gap.
Absolutely.
And this is something to ask questions about, invest in, go and spend some time thinking about that journey. Maybe pop in the comments below. Actually, be good to know where you're at with it. Like what are you experiencing in your social media right now as a gap that feels like a gap for you based on what we've just taught you there. And we'll see you on the next Sip and Share. See you later.
See ya.